practicing as an agile delivery manager also. So I juggle both roles together. I'm a bona fide member of Blue Sky. Been here for a while. I've been taught, trained, and I'm here to also impact others so that the knowledge I have gained, I'm able to pass on to other people. So I'm going to share my screen, and then we will. Okay, bear with me. I'll just put this in the right. Right. So, as said earlier on, we're going to have an introduction into Scrum Mastery. Just to have a brief understanding of what it is, what it entails, who is involved in it, what are the things you need to know. And not only, like Laomi said, as a Scrum Master, but also every other person that has to collaborate and liaise with the Scrum Master or with the Scrum process itself. Okay, so let's start by knowing even what Scrum is before we go into the Scrum mastering aspect of things. Okay, so Scrum, according to the Scrum Guide, is a lightweight framework that helps people, teams, organizations, to generate value through adaptive solution for complex problems. So you have a complex problem, you're trying to solve it. How do you solve it? So it helps people, it helps teams, it helps organization to be able to manage the work they need to do that is relating to a complex problem. Okay, so that is what Scrum, so to say, is. It provides a flexible and iterative approach to project management. So you have a project that is complex to manage. How do you go about it? So it was mainly used initially for software development, but it's applicable to any industry or any profession. And iterative means when you do things in bits. So you do a bit now and you do a bit another time with the same process, and it adds on to help complete the big complex problem that you're having, rather than look at, oh, I have a big complex problem and I'm also looking for a big, kind of solution to solve it. Scrum looks at taking it in bits, solving things in bits, and then incrementally adding value to the big solution that you're looking for. So in a lay terms explanation, that is what Scrum is. So what then is Scrum mastering? So it's the act of leading and guiding a team through a project. Remember, we said you use Scrum to process a project, manage a project from the beginning to the end. So Scrum mastering is the act of leading and guiding a team through a project using some of the agile project management framework called Scrum. Okay, so we have Agile. Agile is a project management method or approach, and one of the frameworks or practices that you have under Agile would be Scrum. So I have another slide that just gives us a brief understanding of all the other ones that you might get under it, but this is just explaining what Scrum Mastering is. So it's an act of using the Scrum framework or practices to be able to manage a project from beginning to the end. Now, by the time you become a Scrum Master and you keep getting better in what you're doing, you're growing, you're developing in what you're doing, you become a mastery at what you're doing. So you become a Scrum Master, you have mastery in what you're doing. So from learning from a book or a guide to say, oh, so this is what my team needs to do, this is what we need to do, and all that, you grow into having the mindset of Scrum and being able to help your team to mature to that mindset that you have also through coaching them, through guiding them, through supporting them in what you're doing. So Scrum Mastery now is the overall understanding and proficiency in applying agile principles, practices, and value. So as a Scrum Master, it gets to a stage where not all the projects you work on, you're thinking about, oh, it's Scrum that is best for this. Your mastery has gotten to a stage where you have advanced knowledge with all the frameworks or most of the frameworks of Agile, and then you're able to advise a team or an organization to say, oh, the best suited framework, Agile framework for this that you want to do is either Scrum or the other frameworks. Or you're even able to say, you know what, looking at what this project is, looking at the organization structure or organization's composition and all that, we might need to marry Agile and Waterfall together to actualize what we need to do. So you've become, advanced. You have that proficiency to be able to give that advice. And then you go beyond working with just a team to even helping an organization adopt the Agile framework and help them to transition from whatsoever they're using into adopting Agile into what they're doing. Okay. But like I said, you start from somewhere and then you just get better, and better in what you're doing. I can use an example of, somebody starting as an administrative assistant and they keep growing, they keep going for trainings, getting better, growing, upskilling in what they're doing. And from being an administrative assistant, they can become the company's administrator, they can become the company's administrative manager and all that. And that means they've acquired more skills, more knowledge, more understanding of that profession, to be able, and with experience, to be able to get to that level that they are. So also so you might still be called a Scrum Master. You can, advance to become an agile delivery manager. So that means you have that proficiency, of agile. You can become an agile coach for an organization. So you can grow to that level where you're the one coaching, giving the knowledge and understanding of agile to the whole organization. That's when you become a master in what you're doing. So even though you're still a Scrum Master, when you were doing Scrum Mastering, you can also advance and have the mastery, of Scrum and Agile also in in the work that you're doing. Okay. So, like I said earlier on, I made mention briefly about Agile. Okay, so Agile is just a project management method where you break down work into smaller parts. You do it, you review it with the users, you get their feedback, you adapt the changes that you got from the feedback, and then you deliver. It helps you to deliver the results quickly. So I don't want to go deeply into Agile, but there's no way we talk about Scrum Master that we don't talk about Agile, because like I said, Agile is the umbrella where you have Scrum as a framework underneath it. So the other frameworks that you'll find also under Agile, you have Kanban, you have Safe, you have Lean. And these are just some few characteristics or process that you will find under these few ones that I've mentioned. So it's not just limited to these four, there are more than this, but we're just making mention of this four because I think they are the common ones that are being used out there for projects. Okay, so you have Scrum. Under Scrum, you have these few processes. Under Scrum, you have the sprint planning, daily stand-up, sprint review, retrospective, refinement. Under Kanban, you have the visual board, you have the work in progress limit, you have the continuous delivery, you have the lead and circle time. These are some of the processes that helps the team, that the team employs and helps them to deliver effectively and add value to the projects that they are building. And then you have the safe one also, which is at enterprise level. It's more of projects that are being managed at enterprise level, which has to do with more than one team having to build whatever they need to build. And these are some of the processes that you have under it. Also, you have the program increment, you have the planning, programming increment planning, you have the agile release train, you have the portfolio management, and so on. And then under the lean one, lean is all about eliminating waste. So we don't need to do this. We don't need to follow that process. We remove whatsoever we don't need from whatsoever process we're working on in order for us to be able to, quickly, have a quickly or early delivery in what we're doing. So lean talks about eliminating waste. It talks about continuous improvement, because in eliminating waste, you need to continually improve what you're doing, the process that you're working on. And it looks at just in time production, and then empowering the team also to be able to deliver whatever they need to do. So these are just some of the frameworks that you have under the umbrella called Agile. Okay. And then quickly, we now want to look at the Scrum Master. Okay, so person that carries out the art of Scrum Mastering that we talked about and who facilitates is the Scrum Master. So the Scrum Master is a facilitator and the true leader of a Scrum team. So when you have a team using the Scrum process, the team is called the Scrum team, because the process that they are using is Scrum. So they are called the Scrum team, and that is because they follow that process. And the Scrum Master is the person that helps them, guides the team into using that process effectively in order for them to achieve value and be productive in what they're doing. Okay, so they are mainly responsible for ensuring that process is followed effectively and that the team achieve what they need to go. So this team are experts, people in their own role. So you have engineers, you have developers, you have testers coming together to work. They can do what they need to do very well, like we said, but they need a process for them to be able to achieve their goal. And that is how where the Scrum Master comes in order to support them, coach them using that process in order for them to achieve what they need to do. So that is the Scrum Master in that role, who the Scrum Master is in that role. Okay, so Scrum Master, who can be a Scrum Master? It could be anyone. Anyone can be a Scrum Master, depending on some skills that you have. So you might have some skills that you already have that can help you be a Scrum Master. Maybe what you just need is the technical know-how, the technical training, which I want to believe whosoever is interested in doing Scrum Mastering in this team would be able to get, by going through the training that you have come here, to get. So knowing some skills proficient can also help you to determine if this role is suitable for you. By the time we go through some of the skills or make mention of some of the skills and all that, and you have those skills, if you feel you're proficient in those skills, then maybe the Scrum Master role is suitable for you. But it's up to what everyone has come in with. So a Scrum Master is someone that should have a facilitation skills. Okay, so you're able to facilitate. You're able to facilitate meetings, especially the Scrum ceremonies. There are some Scrum meetings or events that are called Scrum ceremonies. You're able to facilitate it. You're able to, during your facilitation, help the team to collaborate better with the stakeholders. You are the one that sets that meeting. You set the meeting, you are there to facilitate it, ensure that that meeting is focused on what it's meant to gain, is productive, and at the end of that meeting, there is value added, to that meeting. So you're able to help the team to do that. You facilitate not just meetings alone, but you facilitate help also. You liaise and collaborate and bring about alignments and cohesion, if possible, between the stakeholders and also the team themselves. You're able to do that. So you need facilitation skills to be able to do that. You need to have communication skills. There is no way you lead a team. There is no way you help a team without being able to communicate. So there might be face-to-face communication that you need to do. You have to be transparent in what you're doing. Your message, your communication needs to be clear. It needs to be simple enough for people to understand, not vague. You need to be able to also provide clarity and understanding for them. Okay, so one of the ways you communicate apart from facilitating is you need to coach them also. So coaching is you communicate when you coach people. Okay, so communication is key for you. Now, because you are the master of a process that you're teaching them, you need to have a leadership skill, because the team will be looking at you for one thing or the other. They're looking at you for guidance. They're looking at you to guide them through, to support them through. So you need to have that leadership skills to be able to do that. When it comes to Scrum or Agile, you're not managing them. You're not a dictator. You are a guide. You're guiding and supporting them through a process. You're not after the what or why. You are after the how. How can we do it? How can we improve this? How can we make this, or this is how we do it? So you're not going in it. What are you doing? You're not a manager. So you're not dictating what they need to do. You're helping them understand and practice the process. So also there is the skill of you helping them to solve problems. Also, you are a problem solver. There is a problem, there is a blocker or an impediment that is not allowing them to do what they need to do. You have to be there to provide solution to problems for them. Know the root cause of the problem, identify the root cause, know the solution to solving that problem, and being able to kind of bring the team together in order to resolve that solution. So you need to be able to provide that for them. And that is you protecting the team. Also, you need to mediate through conflict. They're having issues, they're having conflict. You need to be able to resolve conflict between, it could be between team members, it could be between the team and external members, stakeholders, and all that. You need to be able to resolve, mediate resolution. And there are different ways that you can do that. Meeting the 2 or 3 parties involved individually, getting to know what the issue is, bringing them together and ensuring that there's a common, the meeting in a common ground where everybody feels satisfied with whatsoever resolution is preferred. So at times you're not the one preferring the solution for them to say, oh, this is the solution, but being able to facilitate that mediation whereby they are able to come to that agreement themselves is part of the things that you do to protect them. You also protect the team from, the external distractions. People are working, other people are calling them to do one thing or the other. You need to shield the team from all those distractions so that they are able to do the work that, they need to do. So the team also, they need to learn and share. There are times when they come together to give feedbacks. There are times when you have reflective meetings where they discuss things, they learn from it, they share knowledge, they improve in what they're doing by coming together to agree on improvement plans that they need to do. All these are skills that you need to use that are also embedded in all those processes that some have that you need to use. So you need to be collaborative. You need that collaborative skills because you have different people with different expertise coming together to form a team to work. Okay, so you need to help them to collaborate. You need to help the team to collaborate. The meetings are there to do that, but you also need to help them to get to that stage where they can freely collaborate, where they are in a psychologically safe, environment, so to say, for them to work freely. You create that environment that will help the team to be able to work freely, where they are able to trust themselves, be open enough to show their weakness to one another and help one another to improve. Okay, so you look at openness, you look at transparency, visibility. They need to be accountable. They need to own whatsoever they are doing, feel that level of ownership of whatsoever they're doing, not just some of them, but everybody, owning the process and being accountable to that process. And that is you getting them to that level. You encourage them, you give good, not recommendation, you give good compliments to them. When work is done, you're able to, reward them with appreciation when things go well, even when it doesn't go well and all that. Like I said earlier on, you're not being negative in your feedback to them. You're being more like constructive in your feedback. How can we do this? How can we get this better? They discuss as a team, even when their morale is down. Your role is to encourage them, to tell them, oh no, I don't think it's that bad, even though we didn't, achieve what we set out for, doesn't mean we didn't do what we ought to do. So we delivered substantial, value, but not the full value that we wanted to deliver. How can we do this better going forward? You help them to get to that place where they can psychologically, discuss things, be open, show their weakness in order to improve as they go along. You engage in team building activities that help them to bond together, and they get to a place of trust, with you. They trust you, they trust themselves also. And like I said, that motivates that accountability, that motivates the dedication, that it motivates their commitment to whatsoever they are doing, and for them to be able to get it done better. And then you need to have emotional intelligence. Okay. You need to empathize with the team also. You have to get to a place where when people are not maybe doing what they need to do, for example, and all that, you need to have a one-to-one chat with them, know what is wrong. And even when you know that thing that is wrong, you have to empathize with them. What do you need to do? Do you feel you need to take time off to resolve whatsoever personal issues that you are having? You get to that stage with them where they can trust you to talk to you. There are some team members that even feel so safe talking to the Scrum Masters more than their own line manager. It's because of the level, that you have built that trust to. And there are times when you need to be vulnerable with them for them to understand. Okay. So people might feel, oh, I don't want people to know and all that. But once you are vulnerable with them, they understand that, okay, so it's free to be vulnerable and all that. And then you can see them trusting you because you've shown that. And that is part of your leadership skills, to say, hey, nobody is an island, or nobody knows it all and all that and everything. There are times when you can get creative, and not because you made that mistake because you don't know what to do, but because you feel doing that will make them trust you, open up to you, and you do that. Not break anything, or, create a big issue and all that. But, just maybe to say something, make a little mistakes because you know what you're trying to get to. But I'll say, oh, see, I made this silly mistake. Oh, I'm sorry, everybody. I make this mistake. Another. You're trying to teach, lead by example. So you have to have all these skills in order for you to become a very good Scrum Master. So if you have all these skills already, it will be a good thing for you to have and put in place. So you're facilitating, the meetings. Like I said, you're communicating. You're able to communicate. You're able to be a leader. You're supporting. You're motivating them. You're showing them the success. You're celebrating, helping them to celebrate, help them to know their success and to celebrate it. Contribute also when you need to do that. Ensure that there is teamwork, there's that collaboration going on. Then there is no way you become a Scrum Master that you don't coach. Because remember, this is a process they are not used to before. So you have to be able to coach them through that process. Coach them in some of the things, some of the best practices that they need to learn, that they need to know. And we mentioned earlier on about problem solving. So definitely you need to be a problem solver. You identify what the problem is, be able to define it, explore the solution that needs to be applied, put that action in place and reflect on it, do a review of that solution. Is it working? Is it okay for us to, use it, continue to use it, or even apply it to something else that we might be having issues with? You should be able to do that. So it's your responsibility to facilitate, to encourage, reflect, reward them, protect them, learn and share, make sure that they have knowledge share, where you have some team members who are well skilled and some that are under skilled. Encourage peer programming, encourage knowledge sharing, just to upskill those other ones, because it will be beneficial to the whole team at large. So you need to be able to do that. Okay, so we talked about conflict resolution as a Scrum Master. Definitely you need to be able to resolve conflict between them, collaborate, plan things, support them, be there for them. And then you have to be creative. There are times when in your conflict resolution, you just need to be creative with the way you do things. Creativity comes in most of the professions that I know of. But as a Scrum Master, knowing you're bringing in, you're an you're an evangelist of a process. So you have to be creative in the way you said it. Some people respond to change in a very, I won't use the word negative, but reluctant way. So for you to sell the process to them, to tell them we can do this better. We're not saying drop whatsoever you're doing to pick up this. We're just saying we're using this process to enhance whatever you're doing before to get a better result. So you have to be creative in selling, that idea or that process to them. So creativity comes into the skills you need. Like I said earlier on, team bonding, you need to bring about activities that will help the team to bond together properly, different activities, games, different things that will help them to bond together. You might even decide, for example, to pick one of the team members to say, I'll throw it open to the team members to say, oh, who wants to be a game master and all that. And you have somebody volunteering and all that. Remember, they might be a new team. There might be a team that has been there before you come in, but sharing those little responsibilities with them helps them to be accountable, helps them to also receive what you're bringing because you're involving them in it. You're sharing part of that, process with them also. It helps them also to warm up to it better. And like I said earlier on, emotional intelligence, you have to have that. It's self-aware, motivate people, you have to have empathy with you to be able to motivate people and encourage people, in whatever, even if it's you getting to the meeting while you're waiting for others to join. Oh, how was your weekend? How was your day? Or it rained yesterday. Did the rain, affect you when you were going home? Or did you hear about this and that? You have to be friendly. You have to be warm to them so that they can warm up to you also. Feel relaxed with you also. Those are some of the skills. And if you have that, like I said, if you have that, you do that already, or you feel, oh, I have the skills, I do some of the skills and all that, then maybe this role is for you. Okay, so we want to quickly look at some of the tools that you would use as a Scrum Master. So some of these tools are not just limited to you alone. It might be the tools that both you and the team members are using. Okay, so some of the tools, we have the collaborative tools, the tools that you use to collaborate, to manage work or track the progress of work. You have Azure DevOps is one of it, where the project board is. Jira is another one. They're similar. You have Trello. That's where you can get a project board also. You have a brainstorming tool for collaboration also, and that is Miro. You have that also, and then you have the Google Workspace. So Word documents, sorry, all the Google Sheets, the Google Documents, and all that. You have all that also as tools that Scrum Masters use, or the team uses, depending on the ones that the organization that you're working with use. You have the Microsoft Office suite also that some organizations are using. That might be some of the tools that you need to use. Outlook for emails, Word document for documentation, Excel spreadsheets, you have PowerPoint for presentation, all those are part of the things that you use. You have the Teams, MS Teams for meetings and to discuss and all that. Okay, so you have Slack also is another tool that some organization use. And then the old-fashioned email is still there. Don't forget, people are still sending emails. So your Outlook, you have your emails going through Outlook, you see they still being used for communication purpose at the workplace. And then you have the in-office space also, conference rooms, that people use. Nowadays, you have the hybrid working schemes. The some are in office, some are working from home, or even working from a different geographical locations entirely. The remote teams, you're able to use your laptops, the laptops and all that to join in meetings, the virtual meetings or in office meetings. You still have that. Still have the old, sticky notes, writing things in sticky notes to share. The pen, the paper. They are all still tools that are being used, in order for the teams to be able to collaborate to other in order to be able to brainstorm and show kind of also share visibility and track work that is being done. Okay, so all these are some of the tools, not all, so everything here is not all, but these are at least some of the tools that the Scrum Masters definitely will use in providing the carrying out their responsibilities for the team or for the organization. You have reporting tools also, like I said, some of the MS Teams, like your Word document, you could use it for reporting your Excel spreadsheet for calculations that needs to be shared and all that. And you have all those. And then you have Power BI coming in now also that people are using for visualization reports to provide reports for both the teams and also the stakeholders. So these are some of the tools that you would have to use as a Scrum Master. Okay. So, like I said earlier on, Scrum can now be applied to projects in varied sectors, not just limited to IT alone or software development alone. Scrum is being used now as a process in healthcare, defense, insurance, banking, with the government, with construction companies and all that. They all make use of Scrum now. So it's not limited to software. So there is no fear of it's because it's limited to software. How many jobs are there? Almost all industries or professions are using it now, so you can be assured that the job is out there, for a Scrum Master. Okay, so we want to quickly look at Scrum Master salary range. Okay, so what do they earn? So we look at the levels, we look at the years or the years that form those levels, and then what the salary was in January 2025 and what the salary is now, roughly 6 months down the line. So for the entry level, which is for 0 to 2 years, in January the salary range was between £40,000 to £50,000 per annum. And then you can see now that in June that has gone up to 47,500 to 600,000 per annum. Okay, the mid-level 2 to 5 years, 50 to 65,000 pounds per annum in January has now gone to 58,000 to 70,000 per annum in June. Then the senior level, which is 5 to 10 years, was 65,000 to 80,000 in January. Now is 75,000 to 85,000 in June. And then you have the lead agile person in the organization or the agile coach, which is experience of 10 years and above. So the years is just talking about the experience, the years of experience that these levels have. And then you can see in January it was 80,000 to 100,000 per annum, and now is 90,500,000 to 102,500,000 this June. And these salary range were gotten from the sources listed there: IT Job Watch, CW Jobs, UKTalent.com, Morgan McKinley, and Glassdoor. Okay, so these salary range were composed from there. So if whatever I've said from beginning did not attract you to this role, maybe maybe the salary will attract you, to this role and all that. But the most important thing is don't get swayed by the money to say, oh wow, this is what the money is and all that. Get into getting trained, for that role. Get into knowing who you are, developing yourself, your growth, your confidence, using the skills that you might have before that is transferable into this role, to achieve and become confident and grow in what what you have learned, so that when you go out there and you talk the talk, they believe and they know that you're able to deliver what you're saying. Okay. So also there are some expectation for you to become a Scrum Master. So to be a master at any process, you need to have a knowledge of that process. So definitely the training comes in, and that's part of your journey here with us, to be trained, to go through the Scrum Master training, the practical knowledge, you will acquire. That helps to build your experience in this role. And this is what you need to become a master at what you're doing. So you'll be familiar with the buzzwords, you'll be familiar with the right terminologies that are used in job adverts, that are used in the job role by the time you get it, and you're expected, to have this on your CV, or even when you go to interviews, they expect you to have all these. So you'll be able to go through that journey with us, have that the basic knowledge theoretically, and also to be able to put the knowledge you have into practical um, use or practical experience, so that you get what you need, and you're able, by the time you go, like I said, by the time you go out there motivated with confidence to say, okay, I know what I know. I have not just done the theory, I've been helped with the practical aspect of things and all that, you're able to deliver. So then also you're looking at the end of your training, you understand the agile principles, the Scrum framework process, as we've said, the ceremonies and all the other things. And then you go for your certification, okay? Because most of you might be totally new in this field. Don't worry. Well, I've never heard this before. I don't have IT background and all that. When I started, I didn't have IT background at all. I didn't even want to go into IT space at all. But how many years down the line, here I am. Okay, so don't feel this is not for me. IT is not for me. I can't do this. I don't do this. That is not what matters. The most important thing is your determination to go through what you want to go through. So you get your Scrum Master certification. Now, let me pause and say this, that your certification is not a deterrent for you getting the role. Okay, so once you get your training, once you've done your training and you complete your training, you have your CV, you're confident in what you know you can do. Please go out there and start, looking for that job. Build that presence in the job site or in the job environment. Okay, build it, look for the job, and then once you get the job, some organization, some job, they will put it there that, oh, you need to be certified before you come for this role. A lot of them don't put it there. I can tell you that more than 50% of them don't put certification there. So it's all about what you can deliver. So you can go to an interview, have somebody that is certified, and they pick you that is not certified, and they don't mind you coming in and doing your certification while you have the role. I was certified before I started looking for my role, but the company I'm working with does not, I won't say they don't recognize, they don't use the company that I did my certificate, the body that I did my certification with. And what they said was, hey, is it okay if you come in and you do the body that way, where I aligned to and all that? And I said, yeah, fine, no problem. I can come in and do your own certification and all that. So I went in, do the certification of the body that they affiliated with, and then I got my certification. So I have like two certificates and all that. So it wasn't a deterrent. They didn't say, oh, because you didn't have your certification with this organization, we're not going to employ you. So it's all about how you sell yourself, how you market yourself, how you present yourself, and how you're able to sell yourself to say, confidently, I can do this thing that you're talking about is what really matters. So I don't want you to use that to limit yourself to say, even though I finished, what I'm learning and all that, I won't go for the job because I don't have the certification. You will find the odd one or two or, thereabout that will ask for it, but not all of them ask for it, as I'm saying. And if you still want to do it and all that, it doesn't disturb you. You can still be job searching and go for your certification. All I'm saying is don't feel that without this certification, I can't get the job. And once you get the job, congratulations, well done. But remember that personal development, still comes into it. You still need to develop yourself. You still need to self-assess yourself. You still need to, discover who you are. You look for the missing gaps, the upskilling that needs to happen. Set goals for yourself yearly to say, I will develop myself. I want to get, advanced. I need to get mature in what I am doing so that you can continue to be the best, that you are out there. Some organizations help you to develop yourself, but even if they don't, aspire to personally develop yourself as you go along in whatever, you're doing. Okay. So training Yes, certification is not a do or die at the time when you finish your training, but I will advise you to finish your training, so that you'll have a very good footing to go and start. So for jobs, you create your CV, let it sell you, apply for job, target recruitment channels, job sites, company sites relating to your role, create an awareness on them for yourself, register, constantly apply for jobs. Don't get discouraged when you start applying for the jobs there. Develop your interview skills, research interview questions, prepare them, practice your delivery. I know during my time I stand in front of the mirror to practice my delivery, practice using the buzzwords, that I've learned on the job while I'm practicing my delivery. Build an online presence for yourself. Network on sites, like LinkedIn, network on professional blogs online there. Just build a presence for yourself. Let it be loud. Put yourself out there in the job or your profession or your role side so that you're known there. And like I said, research, is key for your development. You continue to improve, you continue to grow. Remember that the only thing that is constant is change. And as an achiever, you don't quit. Okay. You keep growing, you keep getting better in what you're doing. And I wish you all the best, in your journey for this. If for some of us, I know it might be career change. For some of us, it might be career advancement, development. I want to get better. I want to move from this role in the IT sector into this role. That could be what it is for you. So, all the best in what you're doing. And I wish you the best uh, in everything you're doing. So, quickly, having said that, I just want to also use this opportunity to share my own story with you. Hopefully that would encourage somebody or motivate someone here. Okay, so um, um, before I joined, I was um a bit skeptical about moving to an unknown field. So like I said, IT was an unknown field for me. When anything that has to do with IT, my mind is just telling me, oh, it has to do with coding, it has to do with formula. I'm not a formula person. I'm not a coding person, and all that. Okay. So do you want a change, but you're skeptical about, making that move to the unknown fields, then welcome to the club, because that was what I started with. So you are on the right track, you are in the right place. When I came for my first meeting, like you are here and they were talking about it and all that, I was listening in, but my mind was not fully into what I was listening to, and but I got sold into it. I enjoyed what I was listening, especially the skills aspect of things. Hey, I do this. Oh, I use these skills already. I do this already. I do this. And that was where I started getting interested. It was getting interesting for me to say, okay, so that means if I have all these skills, I don't really need to know how to code. I don't need to be a technical person, to be able to be part of the team that works in the IT world. So it's not about I'm technical and all that. I don't need it. I just need my skills and other. And that was when I know that, okay, the Scrum Master role is what is suited, for me, because I have all those skills. I have those organizational skills. I have those administrative skills and all that I'm bringing from my previous role. And I know that, okay, I'm able to use that to learn and then to help my team to get better in what they're doing. I was reluctant to take that step of change, and I've not had a reason to look back or regret it since I took that step. I can assure you about that. And it has been an eventful and enjoyable journey for me, learning about the IT world as if I belong there all along, because you have the right support in place. That is another key thing that I enjoyed when I joined BlueSky. The support is there. You don't run after the support. Most times you're the one running after the support, but here the support is the one running after you. People are checking up on you, people are encouraging you, people are there to help you, people are spending time, their quality time with you to ensure that you get the best of what you have. So from the time I applied until the time I got a job, and even till now that I'm in a job, BlueSky Citadel and 𝐂𝐻𝐍𝐶ons have been a pillar to my success story. There is no way I talk about my job that I can't talk about BlueSky. There is no way I talk about my job that I can't talk about my mentors in BlueSky, my mentors in 𝐂𝐻𝐍𝐶on. There's no way I talk about my job that I can't talk about the senior management for this organization, that I won't talk about AG, that I won't talk about Lady Pat, that I won't talk about all the people that have mentored me and be part of where I am today. Like I said, I'm in the job out there, but there are times when I come across something new, something more advanced than I know and all that. I'm running back to Deji. I'm giving him a call. He's jumping on a call with me. So it doesn't end with me getting a job. Yeah, it goes on. But guess what? I also need to um empower people. I was empowered, and I also made up my mind that I'm also going to come back and empower others so that they enjoy what I enjoyed or what I am still enjoying. Okay, so please, do me a favor. Be ready to be committed. There is nothing you get committed in that you won't see the result, the outcome. So you need to be committed. It is intense, believe you me, because you're going to an unknown area. So you will need to learn. You will need to be patient. You will need to be committed. You will need to put the work in order for you to see the results. But I believe you can do it. If I can do it, I believe you can do it. Be ready to make mistakes and learn from your mistakes. I'm one person that doesn't like making mistakes. Or when I want to make my mistake, I'd rather make my mistake, secretly without people knowing and all that. But being on this platform, I've been able to learn that it is a psychologically safe place where I can make mistake and I will not be judged. I will not be laughed at, but I will be corrected. But you need to get your hands dirty, because in making mistake, you learn better rather than somebody spoon feeding you and teaching you. We don't spoon feed in BlueSky. We put you out there, do this, try, do it. When you do it and you make that mistake, you learn from it, you're put right. And guess what? That lesson you learned from it stays up there. Nobody can take it away from you. That knowledge sticks because you made that mistake and you learned from it. So here there is no judgment. Nobody passes any judgment, against you. We're here to help you, guide you, and support you in order for you to be able to learn. Be ready to ask for help also when you need it, because the resources are available. Okay, so be ready to ask for that help. And like I said, even when you don't ask for it, you see people putting themselves out there. I'm here if you need me. If you have anything, reach out to me, and they're there to help you. So if you don't get it, it's because you didn't reach out. If you don't get it, it's because they reach out to you, but you didn't feedback, you didn't respond to it. Not that, oh, it's not there. They're not giving it, it's not there, it's not available there. And then, like I said earlier on, you need to put the effort in. You need to make the effort also. You will not be fed, or you will not be spoon fed at all. Okay, so I wish you all the best of your time with us. And that is me. Thank you so much. Okay, so we have an hands-on task that I want us to look at, but rather than just pour everything on you at a go, let me allow you to ask any question based on the presentation. And if there are no other questions, then we'll just go into the hands-on task that we want to look at tonight. So feel free, please, to ask your question. Let me stop sharing so that I can see people's hands. Okay. Hi, Faith.
Hello, good evening, ma. Thank you very much for this wonderful session. Thank you for the teachings. Thank you for the advice, and thank you for everything. I also want to say thank you to the founder and CEO for giving us this great opportunity. So my question goes this way. I want to know the difference between Scrum Master and products management, because with my little understanding is that I want because product manager, to my understanding, is more or less like this Scrum Master. So I want to know the difference. Thank
Okay.
you very much.
All right. Is it product manager or the project manager? Because those are the two that people mix together, the Scrum Master and the project manager.
The project man.
Project manager, yeah? Because the product manager is entirely different. Okay, so the project manager is the one that manages a project from initiation um to the end. So the project manager works collaboratively with the Scrum Master. So with the the project manager is just managing the project. He manages the budget. He looks at it from initiation. This is where we started from. The vision that needs the vision aligns with the stakeholders, knows the objectives, the aims, and all that. So he is on the outside of the process, while the Scrum Master deals with the team that is going to build. So there are a lot of teams, or let me use the word stakeholders involved in a project. Okay. You have the product team, which involves the product owner, maybe the person that owns or brought in the project sponsor. You have the senior management of the organization that both the project manager and the Scrum teams are working with. Now, the people that constitute the Scrum teams are the Scrum Master, who is helping them to use that process. You have the product owner in that team. You have the business analyst in that team. You have the developers, the software developers in that team. You have the software testers, also known as the QA in that team. So they all form all these roles, and experts form the team called the Scrum team. Now you see that in making mention of that, I've not made mention of the project manager. So the project manager, like I said, is managing the high level, if I can put it that way, of the whole project. He's looking at the project, this project has been brought in. Okay, he's looking at what is the vision of the project or project sponsor, who is the client. What do we want to achieve? They have that decision or the discussion with that project sponsor, or let me call it the client, so to say. So let's assume I want to build a house now, or let me look for something that relates to. I want to build a website, and I've brought it to your company to say, oh, I want to build this website and all that. You're the one managing the project from onset. What is your vision? Why do you want to build this website? What is this website? Who are your targeted audience for this website? What is this website catering towards? Okay, so you have that discussion and all that. What is the timeline that you're putting for this project? You're the one that discusses the budget. You go and you meet with other people, including the project sponsor, to um look at the cost of it, how many people will be needed and all that to run this project and all that. You will look at it. Now the Scrum Master comes in, collaborates with you, look at that project and all that, and give advice to say um what process is suited. If you're using agile, what process is suited for it? Is it Scrum? Is it Kanban? And all that. How many people do we think we would need, depending on what we need to build? The business analyst comes in, analyzes the business, analyzes the solution that needs to be used in order to build it. So the project owner, like I said earlier on, and the Scrum Master works together. Now, specifically where the Scrum Master comes in is, these are the team that are going to build what needs to be built, and they are going to use the Scrum process. So she works with that team to ensure that they use that process in order to effectively bring out the deliverables that the project sponsor is all about, is wants to get. So, but you as a project manager, you run the whole thing from initiation, from the time the project sponsor comes in and the organization hands over that project sponsor, to you to say you're the one that is going to manage what this man needs to do until the closure of that project. When it has been delivered, any documentation that needs to be done, that is what you do as a project manager. Okay. Having said that, nowadays, I think because of economic situation and all that, some organizations are marrying those roles together and are coming up with a name that they called Agile Project Manager. So when you have an Agile Project Manager, he's still doing the project management aspect, but he's combining the Scrum Master's role with his role in order to do what he needs to do. So you might have somebody out there who is doing combination of both. For some organizations, they are combining both and they are giving them the name Agile. So you have APM, or they call them APM, because some organizations still have that demarcation between project management and Agile delivery manager. So in my own organization, they have project managers, and then we have the Agile delivery manager, because the Agile delivery manager is looking at delivery the agile way, while the project manager is focusing on managing it from inception till the end of the project. Is that clear, Faith?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for breaking it down.
Right, any other questions before we go into our hands-on?
I was going to remind Faith earlier, just a reminder that there is no ma on the platform. I was almost going to fine you about £100 per ma.
Wow.
But because you didn't say the remaining ma when you were ending now, I'll let it go. Yeah. So I've removed the £100 from our books. Okay. Thank you.
All right,
So please.
thank you.
All right, back to you.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again, and we're just going to do kind of an hands-on and have kind of right, let me share my screen again. Okay. So the aspect we want to go to is what I call the Scrum team kickoff meeting. Okay. So let's assume you're already a Scrum Master, you're part of a team, and the team is a new team. Okay. So kickoff meeting happens when you're joining a team that is new, not a team that has already they've started working. Maybe the previous Scrum Master left for one reason or the other, and then they had to employ you. Okay. So what happens is one person would definitely have to onboard you, either your manager onboards you or the tech leads onboard you onto the project. For such a situation, you would definitely join them. You would observe what they do, try and see if it doesn't have to happen, but just try and see if there were any missing gaps in the process, in the Scrum process, that you want to suggest improvement for. But you join them, you observe, you start working with them. Definitely, they would ensure that you start facilitating the meetings. You understand some of the things they're working on. It's good for you to understand also the project they're working on, what the project is all about, what is the vision of the the objective for the project, the delivery time and all that. Who are the stakeholders, the key stakeholders? You need to understand all those things, or have an understanding of those things. But when we talk about kickoff meetings, we're looking at a meeting for a Scrum team that has just been formed and they're just starting off. Okay. So, and the kickoff meeting is an initial meeting that sets the foundation, for a Scrum team. Is a meeting where, they introduce themselves, they introduce themselves, get to know one another, and then know their roles and responsibilities. So you as a Scrum Master, you're the one that facilitates this meeting. Okay. So you gather everyone together in that meeting. You schedule the meeting. Okay. You schedule the meeting. You have a call, the communication platform that everybody is added onto. You have your communication platform. It could be Teams chat. Mostly in most organizations is the Teams chat, but depending on what the tool they're using. And then you have everybody added to that. You introduce yourself. That helps everybody else to introduce themselves, just the introduction aspect of things. You schedule the kickoff meeting, like I said, where you are able to discuss the project goals. Once you know your project, you discuss the project goals, you discuss the scope of the project. Excuse me, you'll have some things that are in scope and some things that are out of scope, just to help your team members, have a shared understanding of what the project is all about. So the product owner and the BA will be able to help to get the team having that shared understanding. And then as a team, you want to know the roles that forms part of that team, their responsibilities. You do all that. You have an overall plan that you're working towards. Again, that would come from either the PO or the business analyst. And essentially, you want to set a foundation for that project. That is mainly what your kickoff meeting is all about. You want to set a foundation for that project, and you want to ensure that everybody aligns on how we proceed. So you'll be telling them, oh, this is the process we'll be using, explain what the process is all about, how the process works, the things that we need to do, and all that. You'll be able to, help set that foundation. And like I said, you facilitate it, you schedule the meeting, you send the invite out to team members with an agenda. This is the meeting you've been invited to. This is the agenda of the meeting. These are the things we want to discuss. Okay. So, and like I said, the objective of this kickoff meeting is for you to align on the project vision. You want to align on the project goals. What are the expected outcomes? You want to establish a shared understanding of your roles, the responsibilities, the events, the meetings that we'll be having, the artifacts that we'll be using, the project boards and all that we'll be using. You want to do that. You also want to have something that is called the team's ways of working. So you discussing all this, part of this discussion and agreement forms your team's ways of working. This is be the way we're working. This will be the meetings we're having, the frequency of the meetings, the days we'll be having the meeting, and all that. You want to set that in your ways of working as a team. So those are some of your key objectives. And the people that will be attending the meeting are the people that forms your Scrum team, which I've explained earlier on. You have your the product owner there, you have the Scrum Master, you have the business analyst, you have the software developers, and you have the software testers who are the QAs also in that team. Some teams might have the data analyst also in their team, depending on the project they are working on. So if the project they are working on have to do with data migration or data upload or data loading and everything, definitely you might have a data analyst to help with that aspect in your team. But if it's not part of it, then it's just mainly a Scrum team is just composition of these people that I have as attendees. And what is the expected outcome for this meeting that you're looking at is, like I said, you've agreed the ways of working, and you've documented it down, and you've put it in a centralized place where everyone, either new or old members, can go to refresh themselves. And that mostly would be either your wiki in your project, on your project board, is where you will put that kind of document. So some of the things you will have in your ways of working would be your Scrum ceremony schedules. So you have your sprint planning. When do we have it? How many times do we have it? Your daily stand up, for how long and many times do we have it? All those meetings, being able to put it there. You'll have your development and work workflow process. So this is our board. How do the workflow on our board, from what end to what end? Where do we start from? Where do we end? Where do how do we collaborate using that board? You want to put that in. What will be the development process? You want to agree on all that. You want to form what is called definition of ready. When we talk about definition of ready, what does it mean? How ready are we? What are the criteria that form that definition of ready? And then what are the criteria that forms our definition of done? What are the dependencies we need to know concerning this project? What are some risks that we need to know? How do we manage impediments? What is our impediment process going to be like? Who do we escalate to? So it might be you trying to resolve it. You can't resolve it. You get in touch with maybe your tech lead to try and see if it can be resolved. If not, you escalate to your Scrum Master, to be able to help, especially where resolution of that impediment is outside the Scrum team. Okay, so you're looking at those things. You're looking at your project tools and the resources. What are the tools that the team needs? What are the tools that the developers will need? What are the tools that the testers will need? What are the tools that the BAs will need? As a Scrum Master, what are those tools that you need and all that? We need to know all that and start sourcing out for that in preparing to start off. So that is your kickoff meeting to say, okay, as a team, this is what we're supposed to do, and this is what we start, doing towards what we need to do. Those are some of the things that you will have in your documented ways of working. So, like I said, and it has to be, you put it on a centralized place, because it's something that after that meeting, you might need to fall back on. Or what did we say we would do when it comes to this? You fall back on it a lot. Even way into the middle of your project at times, you fall back on it. You fall back on it at times to improve it, to update it, because maybe while working, you found out that, there's something we've agreed and documented, but once we started working, we found out that realistically or practically is not achievable. And then as a team, you've reflected and you've agreed an improvement action going forward. So you go back to that document. So your ways of working can be a working document that you update as often as you need to. So if it doesn't need updating, if it's not broken, hey, there's no need, mending it. But if it needs to be updated, yes, we would, go back to update it and all that. So we're going to do kind of have an kind of an hands-on session where everyone that is interested in being a Scrum Master, I want you to do you're going to do an assignment kind of for me. So earlier on I made mention of definition of ready and definition of done. So definition of ready, definition of done, they're just set criteria, in the work items that are using that must be met before it has been for definition of ready. So there are some criteria that need to be met before you consider those work items ready for development, in a sprint. So it ensures that, the backlog. Okay, so what I'm saying you might not understand now, but just know that those are some of the things that you have. So the definition of done also is some criteria that we have before we can categorically say that a work item, has been considered done, to ensure that there's consistency, to ensure that everybody has a shared understanding. There's no assumption that, I thought if I had just done this bit and this bit, that means everything is done. But everybody has an understanding, and that's what part of that ways of working needs to have documented in it, so that everybody understands the process and we all have a shared understanding. We're all having the same understanding, not somebody assuming things. That's why once you have a new member that you're onboarding, you share that document or you give them access to that document so that they also learn the team's process. Part of the team's process as their ways of working. You have that also. Okay, so the task we'll have is for anyone interested in being a Scrum Master. For a Scrum Master, I want you to create a ways of working, based on what we've talked about. Create a ways of working for your team. So this is the team. This is the meeting. So you have to have. I want you to go and research as a Scrum Master. using the Scrum process, what are some of the meetings that we have? When in a sprint, what is a sprint? When in a sprint are we supposed to have this meeting? For how long? What is the frequency? So you need to form ways of working for your team. So you might assume your team. So part of your research will be into what is the composition of a Scrum team. Once you get all that, just put your name as a Scrum Master. You can um just use what will I say now? Any name to form what the product owner is. James is the product owner. John is the business analyst. We have four developers. Their names are A, B, C, D. We have two QAs. Their names are da 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 and everything. Write all your sprints events. The sprint planning is meant to do this. We have it on this day and everything. What is your sprint duration? Is it 3 weeks? Is it 2 weeks? Is it 4 weeks? So get that ready for the Scrum Masters. And then for other people that are, planning to be maybe a business analyst, a QA or a developer and all that, research into what your responsibilities are. This is my role. These are my responsibility. Go and research into it. What that helps you to do is before the time when you meet to have your session with the introduction to your session, you already research into things, just to help yourself understand what you will hear later on better. Okay. So that's the answer or the task that I have, but mainly for the Scrum Masters. I'm for the Scrum Masters, but I just don't want other people to feel left out. That's why I said you can also research on your roles, know your responsibility. Oh, these are the things as a BA that I'll be expected to be my responsibility within the team and all that. You can do that also even before you have your introduction to your role by the person that would be making that available to you. I hope that is clear. Any questions concerning that from anyone? Okay. That means it's clear to everyone. Right. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the time that has been given to me to do this with you. And like I said, okay, sorry if I pronounce your name wrongly, just correct me when you mute yourself. EB, is it EB or EB?
It's EB.
Sorry?
It's EB.
EB, okay.
Yes. All right. So my question is, I didn't catch what you said when you said something about duration of something. You said, is it going to be 2 weeks? Is it going to be 3 weeks? What were you referring to?
Yeah, I want you to go and research on Scrum ceremonies.
Okay.
Yeah. Research on Scrum ceremonies, research on the duration of a Scrum ceremony, the frequency of the Scrum ceremony, and how long it takes to have that ceremony.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Anybody else with any other questions? Okay, I'll hand over back to you, Damisela. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so your acceptance criteria is different from your definition of done. So your acceptance criteria is the user acceptance criteria, the user expectation of a particular requirement. So you'll find that in work items when the BAs have put in the requirement, the description for the requirement, and they are putting in the acceptance criteria. So the acceptance criteria is just users validation. For example, if part of an acceptance criteria could be, oh, these particular features on the system we're building must be able to do this and this and that. So that would be validations that the user is expecting when they start using that feature or when they start using that system. Now that is different from a definition of done. What your definition of done means is when we say, oh, I've completed we've completed this particular requirement. Does it meet the team's? That's where your definition of done comes in. So you as a team have to come together and agree, so that you all have a shared understanding to say that, oh, when we say a work item or a request, which is the same as a requirement, I just want to use simple terms, not so much buzzwords, to help you to understand. So there's a request that comes from the user, which again, like I said, the BA will write, the stories on and all that. Once that has been developed, once that has been tested, when you're part of the criteria for your definition of done could be that, oh, that story has to be manually tested, it has to go through automation, it has to be reviewed, it has to go through UAT, and it's after that, once it passes UAT, then we say that particular story is done. So once the developer finishes what is doing on it, that doesn't mean that work has been completed or is done. Because the QA, remember, part of the criteria is that the QA needs to go through it. It needs to be reviewed. UAT has to be done. So even if developer has developed, the QA has tested, and that particular work item or requirement passes all the tests, there's no need to fix any bugs and all that. That still doesn't mean it is done. UAT needs to be done. I'm just giving an example before that particular work item or a requirement is categorized as done. So that is the difference between it. So your acceptance criteria is part of the requirement. Is the validation that the user is expecting on a particular requirement. Yeah. While your definition of done is totally different. If that's okay. I'm not sure if the person that puts that question there is Daniel. Are you okay with that, or?
Yeah, thank you so much, Koji.
Okay, you're welcome.
Very good.
Right. I'm just going to check if we have another question there. Okay, so I have a question from Young Charles. He says, sorry, I wish to know the meaning of Scrum. Okay, so we talked about the meaning of Scrum earlier on. So when the recording is shared, please go through it so that you can get that. We've already talked about that at the beginning. Also, I'm just trying to look through to see other questions. Okay, so for Ramin, there is a session on this process where there would be a demo that would be done. Okay, so we don't want to put the cart before the horse. So you would get a demo, okay, a practical demo of some of the Scrum process later on. So that would come later on. And I think allow me and the admin will let you know when that would come in. So definitely you will get a practical demo of that at some point. Okay. I hope that's okay with you. And then for to be first, do I have here the question? Can an absolute beginner with project management MBA become Scrum Master? Okay, yeah. So if you have project management qualification, yes, you can become a Scrum Master. There are some, I've known quite a few project managers who have ended up being a Scrum Master. I know one who is raising her hands right now. I think Laomi went through project management and all that, and she's
I've
a
dropped it back.
she's a certified Scrum Master. So we have them in-house, for you. So yes, definitely, Anand. You can still be a Scrum Master even though you have your qualification as a project manager. Okay, so I think I've dealt with all the questions that we have on the chat. Okay, back to you, Damsala.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Moji. Yes, I just briefly gone through the questions as well, and I think you've covered everything. So still lots of thank yous on the chat. We're very, this is me speaking on behalf of BlueSky Citadel. We're very happy that those of you on the call have gained something today. Please don't forget the hands-on task that was given. Give it a go, try your hands at it, and I'm sure it's something that would be reviewed later on.